Hello, my friends. My name is Jake. This is Returning Retro, where we talk about some vintage tech, some retro tech, but above all, intentional tech. And the device I'm going to be talking about today is probably one of the best implementations of intentional tech that I've used to date. So stick around. Today we're going to talk about a fun little device that is the Google Pixel. But it's not the Google Pixel. This is the SLEKE phone with OdysseyOS. One thing that I have noticed, I haven't really covered much on this channel, is software-centric solutions for creating a more distraction-free or a more productivity-focused experience with your technology. I tend to focus on the more hardware-driven solutions, such as those with e-paper displays, small screens, physical keypads, that kind of thing, because those are the ones that have really worked well for me in curbing my screen addiction. However, for many, that's just not necessary to begin with. The SLEKE phone with OdysseyOS is kind of an in-between device where you have a Pixel device, in my case, which we'll do the tabletop here in a moment, is a Pixel 7 with a custom-built operating system based on Android, so you've got Android app compatibility and a lot of Android familiarity there, but it's curated in such a way that it makes it pretty impossible to doom scroll, get distracted, or really do anything that takes you away from the basic essentials of communication and productivity. And there are 3 specific groups or end users or type of user that I think this device is perfect for. So stick around to the end of the video and I'll go over those for you in detail. But let me give you a tour of OdysseyOS and a little bit more of an in-depth view of why I think the SLEKE phone is one of the best intentional tech solutions on the market today. This is the SLEKE phone. So I thought I could give you guys a tour of what makes this such a great solution for people looking for an intentional tech approach to their smartphone. So as I kind of mentioned at the top here, this is running on Pixel hardware. This, I believe, is the Pixel 7, and it is running a customized, curated version of Android called OdysseyOS. So what they've done is gone in and taken all of the guesswork out of it for you and created a way to approach Android in a very distraction-free, yet still very productive manner. So this right here, what you're looking at is the home screen. If you press the option button over here, you'll see over on the left, you can turn on dark mode for the home screen or light mode. I think light mode shows up a little bit better on the camera here, so I'm just going to leave it there. You can go in to report bugs, make suggestions, and they actually do actively listen to these suggestions, which I think is really cool. And then you can jump straight from here into your settings app. Now, for those of you familiar with Android, the settings app is going to look real familiar because, again, OdysseyOS is based off of a core layer of Android. So the apps that you use are going to be Android apps. The settings, you can go from the typical notification shade as well here. It's going to be very, very reminiscent of Android. So back to the home screen here. Down here across the bottom, you've got your dialer app. Going back home, you've got your texting app, which this can be changed if you want to use a different text app besides the one that comes stock. You've got your search app, which this will search everything that you have on your phone, apps, contacts, media, you name it, but also it can search the web. And I believe that the search functionality is using Perplexity, but not 100% sure on that. Guys, if you're watching this, Austin or Brennan, go ahead and let me know in the comments if I've got that right or wrong. But this is actually really handy. I'll share a story about that in a little bit. And this is also pretty much the closest you can get to a web browser on this device. Yes, you heard me right. No web browser. And then you've got what some people call the app drawer or more apps. Here across the top, you can see your list of apps over here on the one side, a QR code scanner if you have something that you need to scan really quickly. That is there available for you. Now, what I've done is I've gone back in and reset this back to factory settings. So this is going to be what it looks like right when you first go through and get it set up. This does not have Google Play services. Instead, it has what's called microG, which is a compatibility layer that will let you use some of the Google apps that you would typically need Google services for, but without actually using Google services. So this is going to be more private. This is going to use way less background resources, so your battery life is going to be improved a lot. And again, having used this device for the last several weeks, it definitely works out that way. So there are a couple of things just to point out here. The biggest one is going to be the SLEKE store. So going here, you can see you can log in with your Google account if you want to, or you can go and download anonymously without actually adding an account to the device to get the apps that you need. One of the things that I really liked about this is I was able to use it as a work device without any issues whatsoever. So for example, in my job, we use Microsoft. So I can show you here. If we just start searching Microsoft, you've got Authenticator, you've got OneDrive, you've got Teams, you've got Outlook Lite. I didn't use Authenticator, I don't need that, but I used OneDrive, Teams, and Outlook without problem. I mean, we're talking if I needed to do a voice call on Teams, no problem whatsoever. OneDrive worked great. There are a couple of Google apps as well, if you need them. So if your work uses Google, or I guess even if you use your own Google apps, Google Messages, this is actually the messaging app that I used while I was using this device consistently for several weeks in a row. And it works great. The only thing that I could not get working was RCS. I was able to send multimedia messages, group messages, regular SMS messages. I could even use the link to desktop. So if you go to the Messages website in a web browser, you can link it so that you can use your computer. That worked fine as well, but unfortunately, RCS is something that they are still working on. Go over here, updates. No updates are available. Another thing I wanted to show you guys that I think is really, really cool, instead of going to the apps section here where you can go and search for and download apps, you can go to the SLEKE section, and this has some of their own custom-built versions of certain things that you can use here that you might not have access to in the apps. So for example, banking. This was one that I actually thought was pretty cool because, as you can imagine, they're not going to have all of the banking apps in here, and some banks might not even have apps. So what they've done is they've created an app that will redirect you to the web portal without actually giving you open access to the web that could lead to distractions and doom scrolling and all of that. So I went ahead and checked, UK, let's go to US, let's go North American banks, let's go to Capital One, and boom, right there. And I went ahead and signed in with this. It worked just fine. Also, if you need, they have been really great about adding apps for specific things that you might need, as long as it's in their ethos. So if you're going, hey, could you add, Amazon? Can you add Instagram? Yeah, probably not going to do that for you. However, I did go ahead and said, hey, could you guys please grant me access to my local regional credit union? And they were able to do it. Took them like 3 minutes to do. So super, super cool to see that level of involvement from the developers with our very small user base that I hope grows and grows and grows. They do also have a Discord server, so you can submit feedback through there. You can ask questions. They are super responsive. I cannot recommend that enough. I'll definitely put a link to that in the description here. The other thing, so what about messaging apps? I was thrilled to find out that they have Beeper. If you guys are not familiar with Beeper, basically what it allows you to do is go in and aggregate all of your different messaging services into one spot. So with Beeper, you've got your Instagram direct messages, you can do WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, all kinds of different messaging apps in one spot here. So you've got it. Now, battery life is awesome. I cannot rave enough about how great it is. I mean, I would get with a regular, again, I use this as a work phone. So with regular use, texting, emailing, some Teams messages here and there regularly throughout the day, I was easily getting 2 days of battery life on this. If I needed to be conservative and not use it as much and try to stretch it out, I didn't do this, but I could really see myself pushing it out to 3 days, no problem. Another thing I forgot to mention about, you might notice yours truly up here in the top. So this is your contact card. I don't know if that's what they call it, but that's what I call it. You can see the personal profile here. So what you can do is actually come in here and input all of your individual information. So for example, Instagram, I could go in and put in the Returning Retro Instagram handle there, Discord, email address, WhatsApp, Twitter, and so on. And then you can then share this with another user on their phone. I don't know if this is live yet. I don't know if the share functionality actually does anything. I haven't tested that yet, but it's kind of cool to have your digital contact card here where if you're at a meeting or if you're at a networking event and they're, hey, how can I get a hold of you? Where can I find you? You share, boom, and then all of your information here that you would go in and input would be available to them. So took that picture just before starting to record this video. One snag that some people might run into is not having a web browser. We've grown so used to having a web browser in our pocket that it can be a little bit of a pain. In fact, I ran into this a couple weeks ago when I was looking at a monitor that I found at a thrift shop. And I was like, oh, I want to know the specs. I want to know how this works. Is it going to be a good fit for me? Is it not? But then I remembered the search function. So I came in here, I put in the monitor, I searched it, I did the internet, and I found it really quickly gave me all the information that I needed about that given monitor. It told me when it came out, it told me what it was good for, it told me the specs, and it basically gave me what I needed from a web browser without a web browser. It gave me all the information that I was looking for in that moment, but it didn't give me a gateway to distraction that web browsers have so poignantly become. So yeah, guys, this is a super great, you'll notice it's very basic, you'll notice it's very straightforward, but I just love that this is running on a proprietary Android version. In my personal opinion, this one actually feels when you're using it like it's not your regular Android. For those that are familiar, there's GrapheneOS out there, there's LineageOS out there. Those basically feel more or less like Android, just with different feature sets according to what you're looking for. The SLEKE phone with OdysseyOS, I love that it actually feels like you're using a different phone, a different operating system. So 100% pixel, you've got the great camera, you've got the great smooth hardware, 0% distractions, but still able to get you all the productivity tools that you might need. So I mentioned that I think that this is going to be particularly great for three groups of people. Those would be group number one, I would say would be for professionals that are looking for a way to be looking for a tool that gives you all the productivity tools that you need without any of the distractions. So I think that this is going to be a great work phone for people that are looking for a second device and they want something that they can just dial in and focus on. The second group of people that I think that this is going to be great for, that I haven't really talked a lot about on the channel yet, but is going to be for maybe teens, maybe kids that parents, you want them to have a smartphone, or maybe they need one, but you don't want them to be subject to all of the pressures that social media has, that you don't want them to be subject to doom scrolling or all of the dangers that are out there on the internet. This is going to be a great device for that, because it gives you the bare essentials, but it doesn't give you anything more than that. And that third group that I think that this would be a perfect device to consider is going to be people that are starting their intentional tech journey and maybe are going towards the more digital minimalism side of things, really trying to get to where they're using a dumb phone, but they're not quite there yet. People that maybe those devices are a little bit too restrictive, and so you need somewhat of a transition device. I think this could be the one for you. The device is in what they're calling sort of an open beta. They are still working on things, working out some kinks, but I found it to be in a really good daily driver state. I found that I didn't have really any issues, very minimal glitches. In fact, on the top of my head right now as I'm talking about this, I can't even think about any to list. So it is a awesome device. I love what they've done with it. And like I said, they have been super open to feedback. Congratulations for creating an awesome device for people wanting to be more intentional about how they use technology. A very special thank you to Austin and Brennan, the guys over running SLEKE, that sent this over for my review. More to come.